Dear listeners, welcome back to English with Stories. Today we hear a true story. It is about a woman named Joanne Rowling. She has no money, no job, and no home of her own. She is a single mother with a small baby. But she has one powerful thing, a story inside her heart. The vocabulary in today's story is clear and simple. Every new word has an easy definition. You can listen, understand, and enjoy. Let's begin. The city of Edinburgh is cold and gray. Rain falls softly on the old stone streets. The wind makes a low, quiet sound. A young woman walks slowly along the road. Her name is Joanne. She is 30 years old. She carries a sleeping baby in her arms. Joanne is exhausted. Exhausted means very, very tired. Too tired to think clearly. Her baby's name is Jessica. Jessica is small and warm. She sleeps quietly against her mother's chest. Joanne has no job. She has very little money. She lives in a small, cold apartment. The apartment has one narrow window. The window looks out at a gray wall. Joanne sits there alone in the evenings. But Joanne has something powerful inside her. It is a story. A big, magical, impossible story. She thinks about a boy with round glasses and a lightning scar. A boy who does not know he is special. Joanne has no quiet desk to write at. She has no peaceful room. She has only the small café on the corner. The café is called Nicholson's. It is warm and friendly inside. The rich smell of coffee fills the air. Joanne walks in with baby Jessica. She orders one small cup of tea. She sits down at a wooden table near the back. She puts Jessica in her pram. A pram is a small bed on wheels. Babies sleep in it while their parents walk. Jessica sleeps. Joanne takes out her notebook. She begins to write. Her pen moves fast across the white page. The words come quickly and easily. They come from somewhere deep inside her. She writes about a school for young wizards. She writes about a kind and wise old man. She writes about a dark and terrible enemy. The café is warm. The baby sleeps. The story grows. Joanne does not know it yet, but these words, in this small, warm café, will one day change the world. Joanne comes to the café every single day. Every day she writes. Every day she hopes. Writing is her only escape. An escape is when something helps you leave your problems behind for a while. At home, Joanne feels desperate. Desperate means you feel there is no good way forward, no easy answer. She counts her money very carefully. Some days she counts it twice. There is never enough. Her apartment is cold in the mornings. The heating does not always work. She wraps Jessica in an extra soft blanket. Her friends and family worry about her. They ask her to find a real job. They do not fully understand the story inside her. "When will you finish writing?" they ask. Joanne smiles quietly. She does not always answer. She works on her story for 5 years, 5 long, cold, exhausted years. Wait, do you remember that word? Exhausted means very, very tired. Joanne is exhausted, but she does not stop. Finally, the book is complete. Joanne holds the pages in her shaking hands. She feels proud and terrified at the same moment. Terrified means extremely frightened, a very strong, deep fear. Terrified is stronger than scared. It is fear that fills your whole body. She types the whole book on an old typewriter. She cannot afford a computer. Each page takes a long and careful time. She places the pages inside a brown envelope. She writes a careful letter to a publisher. A publisher is a company that prints books and sells them to readers. She sends the envelope by post. Then she waits. 1 week passes. 2 weeks pass. Then a white letter arrives. She opens it with shaking hands. She reads the very first line. Her heart drops. We are sorry. This book is not for us. Joanne puts the letter down slowly. She breathes in and out. Then she picks up a new clean envelope. She sends the book to another publisher, and another, and another. 1 publisher says no. 2 publishers say no. Then 3, 4, 5. She keeps all the letters in a box. The box grows heavier each month. Still, she sends more envelopes. 6 publishers say no. 7 say no. 8, 9, 10. Each no feels like a small door closing in her face. Each no makes her more desperate. But Joanne does not stop. The waiters at the café know her now. They smile warmly when she comes in. On difficult days, they give her extra hot water for her tea. One cold Tuesday morning, letter number 11 arrives. Joanne is feeding Jessica soft bread for breakfast. She puts down the spoon. She opens the envelope slowly. She reads the words. Her face falls. We are sorry. This story is not right for us. Joanne places Jessica gently on the floor to play. She sits very still at the kitchen table. The room is quiet, except for Jessica's small, happy sounds. 11 publishers have said no 11 times. The world has said, not you. But inside Joanne, something refuses to break. She picks up a fresh envelope. She writes a new address, publisher number 12. She walks to the post box in the steady rain. She drops the envelope inside. She walks home with no umbrella. The rain soaks through her coat. Her shoes are cold and wet. She is exhausted. Remember that word. And deeply desperate. She has one quiet question in her heart. Will anyone ever say yes? Winter comes to Edinburgh. The streets are icy and silent. Joanne's apartment feels colder than ever before. She has almost no money now. She applies for government benefits. Benefits are small, regular payments the government gives to people who have very little. Receiving benefits feels humiliating to Joanne. Humiliating means something makes you feel small, ashamed, and embarrassed. She does not want to need help. She wants to write and be strong. She wants the world to read her story. But the world does not seem to want it. 12 publishers have now said no. The box of letters is almost full. These letters are called rejections. A rejection is an official no, when someone decides not to accept your work. One gray Thursday, Joanne sits in the café. Jessica sleeps peacefully beside her in the pram. The familiar smell of coffee feels warm and safe. Joanne opens a fresh notebook, but today she does not write the story. Today she writes her own dark thoughts. She writes, "Maybe they are right about me." She writes, "Maybe this story is not good enough." She writes, "Maybe I am not good enough." Then she stops. She looks at sleeping Jessica. Jessica's tiny fingers curl like small, soft flowers. Joanne closes the sad notebook. She opens her story instead. She begins to read from the very first page. She reads about the boy with the lightning scar. She reads about the magical school above the clouds. She reads about friendship and danger and love. She reads about courage. Courage means the strength to continue even when you are afraid. As she reads, she feels something change inside her. The words are strong. The story is real and alive. She knows this deep in her bones. In the same quiet place where the story first began, she is sure of it. She makes a firm decision. She will send the book one final time. One last chance. There is a very small publisher in London. Their name is Bloomsbury. They are small and not very famous. Joanne almost does not choose them. They seem too small. What can a small publisher do for a big story? But she has no other name left on her list. This is the last envelope. This is the last road. She types the address with her tired fingers. She walks to the post box in the cold, biting wind. She feels terrified, remember that word? And very, very alone. She drops the envelope into the dark box. It disappears inside. She does not know it yet, but everything is about to change forever. Months pass. Joanne tries not to think about the envelope. She tries not to hope too much. But hope is a strange, quiet thing. It lives in small, hidden places. It does not disappear easily. One completely ordinary morning, the phone rings. Joanne is washing a dish in the kitchen. Jessica sits happily on the small sofa. Joanne picks up the phone. A calm man's voice speaks. He is from Bloomsbury Publishing in London. He speaks slowly and clearly. He says he has read the whole book. Then he says something Joanne never expects to hear. "We would like to publish your story." To publish something means to print it as a real book and share it with the world. Joanne does not move. She holds the telephone with both hands. She cannot speak. The man tells her the advance. An advance is the money a publisher pays a writer before the book is sold. It is only £2,500. It is not a large amount, but to Joanne it feels like the whole world. She puts down the phone. She sits slowly on the kitchen floor. Her hands are still shaking. She looks at the cold walls of her small apartment. She thinks of the café, the pram, the rain on her coat. She thinks of all the desperate, exhausted, humiliating days. And now, one small publisher has said yes. But the man says one more thing, quietly. He says, girls and boys both must love this book. He says, please use only your initials on the cover. He says, J.K. Rowling, not Joanne. The publisher is worried. He thinks some boys will not read a book by a woman's full name. Joanne agrees without anger. She wants her story in the world more than she wants her name. So she becomes J.K. Rowling, not Joanne, not a poor, exhausted single mother in a cold apartment. J.K. Rowling, the name of an author. The name on the cover of a book called Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. The book arrives in shops in 1997. One quiet afternoon, Joanne walks past a bookshop window. She sees her own name on a cover for the very first time. She stands completely still on the cold street. Her breath makes small white clouds in the air. She feels something she has not felt in a very long time. She feels like herself. But she does not know what comes next. She does not know how enormous this moment truly is. She does not know that the whole world is about to fall in love. That story we will tell in part 2. Before you go, let's review the most important words from today's story. The first word is exhausted. Exhausted means completely and deeply tired, too tired to do more. In our story, Joanne is exhausted after years of writing, caring for her baby, and receiving rejection after rejection. The second word is pram. A pram is a small bed on wheels that parents use to carry a sleeping baby. In our story, Joanne puts baby Jessica in her pram every day at the café so she can write. The third word is escape. An escape is something that helps you leave your worries and problems behind for a little while. In our story, writing is Joanne's only escape from her cold apartment and her difficult life. The fourth word is desperate. Desperate means you feel like there is no hope and no easy way forward. In our story, Joanne feels desperate as publisher after publisher says no to her book. The fifth word is terrified. Terrified means extremely frightened, a fear so strong it fills your whole body. In our story, Joanne feels terrified each time she sends a new envelope because she is afraid of another rejection. The sixth word is publisher. A publisher is a company that prints books and makes them available for people to buy and read. In our story, Joanne sends her book to 12 different publishers before one finally says yes. The seventh word is rejection. A rejection is an official no, when someone decides not to accept your work or your idea. In our story, Joanne keeps all her rejections in a box, and the box grows heavier every month. The eighth word is humiliating. Humiliating means something makes you feel ashamed, small, or embarrassed in front of others. In our story, Joanne finds it humiliating to ask the government for benefits because she wants to be independent. The ninth word is courage. Courage means the strength and bravery to continue, even when you are afraid or in pain. In our story, Joanne shows real courage by sending her book one last time, even after 12 rejections. The 10th word is advance. An advance is money that a publisher pays a writer before the book is finished or sold. In our story, Bloomsbury offers Joanne a small advance of £2,500, and she accepts. Now, let's look at some phrases that real people use every day. The first phrase is to make ends meet. This means to have just enough money to pay for what you need, nothing extra. In the story we hear, Joanne counts her money twice, but there is never enough. She cannot make ends meet. In real life, you might say, after paying rent and food, I can barely make ends meet this month. The second phrase is to refuse to give up. This means to keep trying, no matter how difficult or painful things become. In the story we hear, after 11 rejections, something inside Joanne refuses to give up. In real life, you might say, even after failing the exam twice, she refused to give up and studied harder. The third phrase is against all odds. This means something happens even when success seems almost impossible. In the story, we hear, against all odds, a small publisher in London says yes to Joanne's story. In real life, you might say, against all odds, the small team won the championship. The fourth phrase is a leap of faith. This means doing something brave when you cannot be sure of the result. In the story, we hear, sending that last envelope to Bloomsbury is a leap of faith. Joanne does not know if it will work. In real life, you might say, starting a new business is always a leap of faith. The fifth phrase is to believe in yourself. This means to trust your own ability, even when others do not. In the story, we hear, when Joanne reads her own story in the café and feels it is good, she chooses to believe in herself. In real life, you might say, the most important thing in any difficult journey is to believe in yourself. Thank you so much for listening today. Joanne Rowling's story is a story for all of us. It says, keep going, even when the world says no. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe. Part 2 is coming very soon. In Part 2, we discover what happens after the bookshop window. We discover how the whole world learns the name Harry Potter. Until then, keep listening, keep learning, and keep believing in yourself. See you next time. The